And the more inner work you need to do, like the more you are going to reap that reward. And don't be fooled. When you see somebody really successful, they have done a lot of fucking inner work to get there. Don't let your ego tell you otherwise. Welcome to Did I Stutter with Jill Perick. And yeah, I probably did because I have a stuttering disability. But I'm also a multiple six-figure business and mindset coach who's here to help you shut down the mindfuckery of imposter syndrome, self-doubt, and playing the nice girl in your content so you and your brand can blow the fuck up and so you can stack the motherfucking cash. I'm holding absolutely nothing back. We're talking marketing, messaging, mindset, subconscious healing, nervous system regulation, and how to do it all even with raging anxiety, ADHD, and just being a fucking human. If fuck is one of your favorite words and nothing can get in between you, your iced coffee, or the work that you're here to do, I'm your girl. Let's dive in. My business blew up because I just decided that I was good. I didn't need a coach to tell me that I was good. I didn't need my clients to tell me I was good. That's a big one. I didn't need to rely on the fact that I had a master's degree or my NLP certification. I just had this revelation. It was one night. I was journaling before I was going to bed, and it was a couple of years ago, and I had seen success in my business, but at that point I was in kind of a harder time. I was in a little bit of an income dip, and I was coming up against this problem over and over again where I found myself subconsciously seeking validation from the coach that I was working with at the time and the friends around me that were also in the online space. And I would subtly compare myself to them, and I would think okay, well, even though I accomplished this, they're doing that. They're better than me. They're smarter than me. When they would come to me for coaching, a couple of them even hired me years later, right? I would be so surprised, and I would be shocked when they took my advice or if they thought that something I said was really transformative. And I just had this realization. I was sitting in bed, I was journaling, and I was trying to get all my thoughts and feelings out. And I realized as I was writing it out that I was looking for so much validation outside of myself because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself to give myself validation because I didn't believe it. If it was coming from me, it didn't matter. And even though this kind of sounds like a very basic transformation, you know that whenever you have a realization, it's never about what the actual realization is. It's always about how you feel. It's like when you're journaling and you come across a new limiting belief you didn't realize was there, or when you're being coached and somebody says or asks you a question and you're oh, that just blew something open in my brain. You know what I'm talking about. But that's what this revelation was for me. It was me being I don't trust myself. I don't trust my word and my opinion over everybody else. And that was a really big journey for the identity work that I did that year. And I was able to completely rebound that year and make 6 figures in income, even though at the beginning of the year, it didn't at all look like that was going to happen. But it happened. And a big reason why was because I had that realization, that kumbaya, come to Jesus experience, sitting there in my bed with my journal being what if I just decided I was good? What if I just decided that I knew what I was doing and that I was good enough and that the work that I'm doing is good enough and that I belong here, that I belong in this industry. I don't have to prove it to anybody. I wonder what would happen if I truly stepped into that. Because the fear was always that I was going to be found out. People were going to be you're a business coach. You have no business being a business coach, blah, blah, blah. We see it all the time online. We see those freedom fighter kind of fucking people that will, talk about the coaching industry and they'll talk shit about coaches and they'll say, you need to have this certification and this and blah, blah, blah. And it's so fucking exhausting because the whole point, the whole reason why all of us are here is to escape the fucking matrix, is to escape the way that the world is built on. You are not qualified or good enough unless you have all of these qualifications. Now, I'm not arguing with things like being a doctor. I'm not arguing with things that actually need those types of education, qualifications, blah, blah, blah. This is an extremely nuanced conversation topic, right? But everybody wants it to be so simple. And the truth is like you can just decide that you're good, because the chances of you going forward, creating an entire business, working with clientele, doing all of this, you're a good person and you would never take advantage of people or do harm to them. There are always going to be those kinds of people in the space, but it's kind of like if you're questioning if you're a good parent, you are probably a very good parent. And the same thing goes for every single client that I have fucking worked with. And that is, everybody that I work with is qualified and absolutely a good fucking person that just doesn't want to do harm. So a lot of the time, they're so stressed out about doing harm and taking on the responsibility of their clients. And that path is just not for them because they are thinking that they're going to accidentally scam somebody, and it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So let's get that out of the way, okay? You are a good person and you are good at what you do, and you will get better the more that you fucking do it, right? And you get to decide right now that you are good enough to do this job, that you are good enough to be a coach, that you can help somebody and that you can help multiple people. And I've had this feeling and this experience through multiple levels of my business, making 5K months, 10K months, 20K months. Like, this has come up for me at every different level, but it really did change when I had that moment in bed with my journal where I was like, what if I just decided I was good enough? Like, what if I just decided that I was a good fucking coach and that I didn't need anyone to tell me, right? That is the identity work. You are embodying what you want to create, right? So let me tell you, nothing bad happened. If anything, my business took off even more, and it changed the way I viewed client testimonials, client results, the way I even interacted with the coaches that I worked with. It changed everything. Right? Like, I felt like I belonged in spaces, in rooms, because I wasn't competing anymore. I trusted the fact that, like, if I wasn't supposed to be here, I wouldn't be here, but I am. And that means that I deserve to be here. And everyone else, I think I was talking about this on one of my podcast episodes I did recently that was recapping my experience at Nice Girl Funeral, which is my coach's event. And that was in October in Toronto, and it was amazing. And something I took from that whole experience was everybody that got on stage, all of the speakers had a story. They had a story to tell. And when they told their stories, they were so confident in it, so convicted in their story, and they told it as if they believed it. And every story was different, but there were a lot of people on that stage that I was like, oh, like, that's happened to me. That's occurred. But like, I realized that I was not putting as much importance on my stories as I could. But from seeing all of these people from all over the world, like, coming together and sharing their unique story, I was like, the story that I have to tell, the stories I have to tell are important too. And it's because I decide that they are. And all of these speakers, like, I did not question their legitimacy. I didn't question their qualifications. And actually, none of them said, like, oh, I have this kind of education or this kind of it. Like, and if they did, it was kind of a throwaway comment because nobody fucking asked, because no one cared. Who are you right now? How can you help somebody right fucking now? So as I said, when I had that realization a couple of years ago, it really changed a lot of things for me, and it really helped solidify that trust I had in myself. So many people try to find their worth in the programs that they run and the topics that they talk about, and the clients that get results and the clients that don't get results, or they fish for compliments and validation from their coach or from people in the industry who they're friends with or who they know, hoping that somebody will just say the magic words that like, you are so good at what you do, like you are enough, you are good enough, you belong here. But the thing is the more you rely on outside sources to tell you, the more you will seek it out. It's like reassurance seeking behavior with OCD. It's the same thing. It's like you think seeking the reassurance is going to satisfy the part of you that needs reassurance, but it actually just reassures you, and then you continue to need the reassurance, right? And what you actually need to do is give yourself fucking permission to just think that you are good at what you do, to believe that you're good at what you do, to just believe that when people come into your spaces, they're going to get their world rocked. They are going to learn something they've never learned before. They are going to experience different feelings, different thoughts, and they're going to create a different result than the ones that they had walking into your container. In psychology, this is called a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay? In neuro-linguistic programming, this is called the Pygmalion effect. And essentially, these two concepts are exactly the same. What you expect and what you believe to happen is what is going to transpire. And I know it sounds kind of crazy to your logical brain, right? Because the thing is, we have been raised to rely on test scores, on the validation from others, people telling us that we're a good girl or a bad girl, or we're crazy or we're quiet or we're shy. We get these labels put on us. And because we're kids, we just believe everything around us. We take it as truth. And then as we get older, we start learning, like, who am I really? And I feel like when you come into entrepreneurship, you experience that all over again. Like, entrepreneurship is such a catalyst for inner and personal transformation. It's fucking insane. If you are not going through a deep journey of the soul, you are doing entrepreneurship wrong, because it will reveal all of your attachment styles, all of your flaws, all of the shadows you need to fucking work on. It will expose all of that. And that's how it is for every single fucking person. And the more inner work you need to do, like, the more you are going to reap that reward. And don't be fooled. When you see somebody really successful, they have done a lot of fucking inner work to get there. Don't let your ego tell you otherwise. And I've said that time and time again, like, whenever I meet like a fellow multiple six-figure entrepreneur or a seven-figure entrepreneur or an eight-figure entrepreneur, when I meet them, like, I always know that they have worked so fucking hard to be here, and not just on the strategy side. They have done a lot of inner work. And before, I used to be like, well, they could have gotten it handed to them, or their husband could have funded their business in the beginning, or all of this like shit that is just my own ego trying to keep me safe. Okay, so of course we have coaches and people that can tell us we're doing a good job, right? Because we do, of course, have this human need for validation. But as an entrepreneur, you have to realize that there is no rubric. There is no testing. There is no, hey, Jill, you get an A+ on your content this week. There is none of that. There is just trial and error. There is just figure it the fuck out. There is just, I'm going to upload this and I'm going to sell, and it's going to lead to a client, or it's going to lead to this. There is so much uncertainty when it comes to entrepreneurship. And the thing is you have to see that and not think it's a fucking problem. But we have this very human need for support and validation. And what you have to realize is that a part of this is also conditioning from your childhood and from when you were a kid in school, and as you grew up, you were told who you were. You were told you are this, you're that, you're smart, you're not smart. And now, being in entrepreneurship, you are unlearning all of these labels. You are unlearning what you believed about debt, about money, about business, about success. You are unlearning all of it, because I bet your ass, if you are listening to this, you are one of those people that really expected to live a different life. You didn't expect to become an entrepreneur or a coach in this way. And now you are, and it looks so different than maybe the life that your parents imagined for you or the life that you imagined for you. Like, I realized in my early 20s, like, I was on the path to living a life exactly like my parents. And that's not a bad thing. I love my parents. They're amazing. But like, I was just, went to school, got the job, was with my partner at the time, who is now my husband, and like I was like, I'm gonna be 26 and we're gonna get married, we're gonna have our first kid by 30, and look at me now. I am 33, I'm turning 34 in March. We don't have any kids yet. We're gonna start within the next year or so. And when we got married, I was 32 and so was he. And we didn't follow that traditional plan. And it kind of rocked me for a bit, because I had a plan of what things were supposed to look like. And that kind of gets kiboshed when you become an entrepreneur and decide to commit your life to like becoming an entrepreneur. And like, that is the role that you take on. Because there's a lot of exciting things about being your own boss, making your own schedule, making your own money, not having an income ceiling at all. But there's also the uncertainty, the fear, all of the things that come up around being a fucking entrepreneur that are so difficult. And one of those things is not getting the validation. It is not receiving the validation from everyone around you or from anyone around you that like you're doing a good job and that things are working. That's why you have to give it to yourself. And in order to give it to yourself, you have to be able to trust yourself. The reason why I equate self-validation with self-trust is because you cannot validate yourself unless you trust yourself. If you do not trust your word, you're not going to trust the thoughts that you try to give yourself. You're not going to trust the things that you have to say. That's why a lot of people have a hard time changing their thoughts, is because they don't trust their own thoughts. They don't really believe that what they think or what they have to say is good enough or valid or right. And a lot of this, again, can be traced back to childhood and back to the way that you were perceived or taught about like trusting yourself. Personally, I have two experiences where my dad would like often say, like, you don't know what you're talking about, because I was a kid, and I would hear that like over and over again, like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. I started a business, and because he's an entrepreneur as well, a very different kind of entrepreneur, but like, you guys have heard me say this before, he would call me every time I would upload an Instagram post that had a swear word in it, and he would be like, you shouldn't post that. But like, he truly believed that he knew better than me and more than me in every aspect of life. And that's something he actually had to realize that he didn't when it came to me running my business and having a personal brand online, and he had to realize that. Another circumstance as well is like, a lot of the time people would argue with me, and I don't know if because I was also like an argumentative person as well, because I am an Aries. And I was very loud-mouthed when I was a kid. I always had an opinion, and I was always arguing with everybody. And something that would happen is I would get into these arguments with people, and I would feel like they didn't believe me. And it would lead to me overcompensating, over-explaining, and I found that same pattern showing up too in my content and in how I sold. And I thought I would have to say so much stuff to get somebody to purchase from me. And that is what happened, is I thought I had to say all of these things and do all of these things to get people to trust me and to buy from me. And that came from a lack of self-trust, because I was like, how can they trust me if I don't even trust me? How can I trust that I can change this thought or I can think differently if I don't even trust what I have to say? So think about that in terms of like your own even affirmations to yourself, right? Like, you trying to change your thoughts or changing your beliefs or changing, how you think and how you experience things inside of your business. Are you having a hard time with it because you subconsciously don't trust yourself? You're not able to self-validate because you don't trust that what you know and what you believe is the right thing. And I want to see what would happen in your business, with your content, with how you show up and sell your offers, how that would fucking change if you were to just say to yourself and just decide that you're good at what you fucking do. It is so much easier to sell your offers when you truly believe that when somebody comes into your container, people are going to get a result and they are going to love the work that they do with you. But it's like the chicken and the egg, the chicken and the egg, like what the fuck comes first? And the thing that comes first a lot of the time is the experience before you can believe that people are getting a result from your spaces. And it takes a lot of courage for you to show up for that space, for that container, and for you to do it over and over and over again so you can build up the belief that people are getting results from your work. I was very terrified in the beginning as well. And I think that is just a rite of passage that like when you're starting out and within the first couple of years even, you're like, I hope this works. I hope I'm doing a good job. But you get to decide. You get to decide that like it's always a good job. You get to decide that you're a good fucking person and that your work is important and necessary and that people need it. And once you decide and step into that identity, because the thing is there's a version of you who has everything she wants. And do you think she's looking to everyone else around her to validate her or to tell her that she's good enough? Absolutely fucking no. She is not. She is not at all. So build that self-trust. Learn how to self-validate because it is going to be the most important thing when you're showing up and when you're selling. And join the Real Deal Mastermind, where we do this work together. We work on your conviction so you can sell your offers confidently and really believe in yourself and your work. So you can create show-stopping fucking content that converts dream clients into your high ticket offers. And so you can expand your capacity to hold more, to receive more, and to blow up your business to 10K to 20K months. We have spots available now. And when you join, you get access to absolutely everything, the portal, the Telegram channel, the courses, you get access to fucking everything, okay? Send me a DM at your coach Jill. I love you so much and I will see you next week.